Happy New Year, friends. I'm Rabbi Laura Duhan-Kaplan, and I am here with my friends Pastor Don Mackenzie and Imam Jamal Rahman. Together, we are the Interfaith Amigos, and we wanted to bring you a New Year's greeting from each of our faith traditions, but with a unified message. We're in a difficult time. All around us, politicians and grifters are using polarization to divide us from one another and to confuse us about what is really true about the majority of humanity and the great compassion that we have for one another. And in this time, any kind of interfaith work that we can do is valuable, whether it's one-on-one, in friendships, or in neighborhoods, whether it's teaching in the circles where we can teach, doing outreach to make people's lives easier, working together as a spiritual community if we are part of one. All of these actions are helpful. I want to share the words of second century Jewish Rabbi Tarfon, who said, "Look, time is short. There's a lot of work. The reward is great, but sometimes the workers are lazy. So know this. You are not obligated to finish the work, but you're also not free to avoid it." And I would like to share with you a letter that my father wrote to me on New Year's Eve between 1986 and 1987, which is his own personal version of Rabbi Tarfon's teaching. He writes, "Dearest Law, here it is, the last day of the year, and we are working just as hard or just as much as if it were the first day. And soon it will be that too. We hope that your efforts will be crowned with success, and that your efforts will continue to be buoyed with good health and strength. There is more work here than any person, even yourself, can do. I just can do nothing but keep working. There is no other way. Luck and love to you in the new year." My father, Bernard Duhan, would be delighted to extend his blessings to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Rabbi Laura. Well, I think you've really said it, and I just want to add a couple things to that from the Christian tradition, because as we move from one year to another, I think immediately of the concept, not exclusive to Christianity, but the concept of death and resurrection. And when I think of the resurrection of Jesus, I want to avoid the question of whether or not he actually arose from the dead, which often derails the meaning of the story, which is that God can always make everything new. And I think that's something we need to keep in mind as we pass through this very difficult passage in human history. And the other thing that we cannot stop doing, which is so eloquently stated in your father's letter, Laura, I think of the Apostle Paul, with whom I do not always agree. But I think in Romans 5, the letter to the church at Rome, he writes, "Suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us." Hope does not disappoint us. And so I think we have to keep going. We have to keep going and do whatever we can, even if it's the smallest thing you can imagine. Remember, God can always make everything new, and we are a part of that. Thanks be to God. Over to you, Jamal.
Thank you so much, Brother Don, and thank you so much, Sister Laura, for your beautiful message. As both of you have said, these are very difficult times, domestic policies, turmoil abroad. And this gives rise to so much of these difficult feelings of anger, fear, resentment, helplessness, sadness. So what do we do in these times? I have some insights to offer from the Quran. The Quran says in desperate times, please continue doing your spiritual practices. The inner inconvenient work of transforming the ego, opening up the heart, so we become more evolved human beings. Find solace in meaningful action, creative action, rising above the problem. Secondly, the Quran says, even in difficult times, continue with righteous deeds, being of service. Rumi says, be a lamp, a lifeboat, or a ladder to God's creation. And the Prophet Muhammad famously said, do good deeds according to your capacity. God never tires of giving rewards unless you tire of doing good deeds. The good deeds most loved by God are the ones that are done regularly, no matter how small they are. These good deeds will bring us joy. Third point the Quran makes is, please continue in difficult times to build community. Join together, the Quran says, to create a beautiful fellowship. I like the words of Rumi. A wall standing alone is useless. Add to it other walls, it can support a roof, even a granary. Only when ink joins with a pen can the blank paper say something. So if we do these three things, the Quran suggests we shall build faith and create authentic hope. All of you have mentioned hope. I love two verses from the Quran about hope. The Quran says, it is God who sends down the rain when humankind has lost all hope and unfolds his grace. Another verse says, the earth was parched, but the waters of mercy came down and the earth was clothed in green. Am I being overly optimistic, unrealistic? Not really. Miracles do happen. As we three have always discussed, in our lifetime, communism was dissolved. The Berlin Wall came down. Apartheid in South Africa was dismantled. An African American was in the White House for 2 terms. Miracles do happen. There is always hope. And that's the end of my sermon. And Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you.